board game, believe it or not.
That one is so much better, Andy.
Thank you.
All right. Well, this oh, sorry. I can cut this part out. Uh um all right, and for our next topic, we're going to be talking about believe it or not. So the first time we did believe it or not, all of us participated, and John threw some shade at us and said we were all horrible at it. So he proved how much better he was. And I think none of us figure, or I think we got all of them right. So I said, John, you're obviously not any better at this than any of us. So let me give it a try now. So now you guys can determine who's the best. John, me, or someone else, but they'll get their time later. So for those who are watching for the first time, what we are going to do is I'm going to present a board game that is possibly real, possibly fake, and the other three will have to decide if it is something I made up. Do they believe it or do they not? Do they think it's just a pile of lies and they're going to call me out on it? But if two people get it wrong, I will get a point. Otherwise, if they get it right, they get a point. And while I disagree with that point structure, since I'm so far ahead, I feel like they need the handicap. So let's get at this. So, John, we'll start with you. Give me a number 1 through 5, and I will tell you the game.
How about number 5?
All right. The name of this game is... Yes.
Raspberries?
What?
It's called raspberries?
Yeah, it's called...
Okay.
It's PRRT. So
Okay.
It kind of sounds like fart.
All right.
It's a farting game. All right. So this game it came out in 2009. Actually no, 2011. Sorry. Misread.
Sure.
And you are presented a situation like you just came out of an elevator that's cramped and someone just let one rip. Was it you, Chris? Was it you? Or was it someone else? And what you're going to do is you take turns playing cards saying, that's not me. And you play a number. I think if it's high, then it means like you definitely you want to deny it. But if it's low, you're like, whatever. Well, when someone finally says, yeah, it was me, they get to grab all the cards in the table. And I think the higher points you win or something like that if you have the bunch. So, yeah. So, John, what do you think? Is this farting game real?
Well,
I just say middle school.
Two things. Or is it just going to up and disappear like a fart in the wind? Is that what you're going to say?
That's sure.
Two things. Number one, mine was just more entertaining. It wasn't because my segment got me a lot of points. That's not why my segment was better. But anyway, to go on to this one, when you first announced the title of the game and the year it came out, it sounded very believable. Because I'm like, the crap games that come out about taping stuff to your face or whatever, and somebody throws a pie at you, it's got to be something like that. But then when you describe the game, and it almost sounds like a kind of a real game, that can't be right. This has got to be some game where if it was real, it would be something that involves something that makes a fart sound or something like that, and everybody would laugh and it'd squirt water on you or something. And so no, I'm going to say no. I do not believe it. Categorically deny it.
All right, Chris, what about you?
So yeah, picking up with John, just like he said, like when you said 2009, I was like, ooh, okay, this makes sense that it's gonna be a stupid party game where you're like throwing stuff at each other or doing whatever. Then you said 2011, I'm like, okay, that's still same time frame because there was a lot of games that came out that same time frame that were dumb stuff like that. Just like that new one, the poetry for Neanderthals, it's just time's up except you can hit people with a balloon thing, like a blow up. It's stupid. Anyways,
why not?
But then you started talking about like you get the cards which you want eventually by eventually saying it was you. Why wouldn't you say it's you from the first place? So that makes me think that it's not real, but at the same time it's party games. So sometimes those games don't even make any sense. So
True. Maybe
that does work. What I do know is this game should be officially licensed with Shaggy because it wasn't me. But I'm going to say it's not a real game.
All right, Andy. What about you?
Shaggy from Scooby-Doo?
Yeah, that one threw me.
No, he's a musician, and it's that famous song from like 15 years ago. Now it's like it wasn't me. She caught me in the shower. It wasn't me, or whatever. It's like the beginning. It's like, dude, my girl caught me like with another girl. What do I do? And he's like, well, just tell him it wasn't you. And he's like, what? He's like, just say it wasn't you.
I was gonna make a music drop, but Chris, you sung it, so I think that's all people need.
There you go.
That's right. It's
That's
the
from
most
before-
ridiculous
from before
song
my
of all
time,
time, and
Chris.
I love it because of it.
Scooby Dooby Doo.
There you go. That's what I was thinking.
All right, Shaggy, what do you think?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with my strategy that worked awful last time, and I'm going to say it's true because they both said false. But
Gosh.
yeah, I have to admit it was pretty shady when you were like, "Oh, it was in 2009." Oh no, I mean it was 2011.
Yes.
That was way too put on. So I'm probably totally wrong, but I'll say it's true just because.
Well, Andy, you should go with your heart, not gaming the game.
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, Simon.
Are you sure?
I'm
Simon,
sure.
sorry. All right. Well, even though Andy shouldn't get a point, he is going to get a point because this is a real game. This is the real game, and it's by. I was going to throw out the designer's name, but I thought that might be a little bit of giveaway. But there are going to be some designers on some of these other ones, so don't let that fool you. But this was Bruno Cathala, who has also made Seven Wonders and like Dungeon Pets and Codename. So there you go. It's a fart game.
Wow.
All right. So now Chris, pick a number.
We'll go with the other end of the spectrum. We'll go with 1.
1. All right. So this game is called Bible Baseball. It's from 1965 and it has been reprinted two times because it's that good. Bible Baseball is a trivia game. It's a Bible trivia game. And they'll ask you questions like, can you quote John 3:16? And if you can, you got a single. Good job, little
Saint.
little guy. But can you name the person who touched the Ark of the Covenant and was struck dead by God?
There's that guy in Raiders.
You might just hit a home
There's
run.
those Nazis.
Didn't their faces melted, right?
Correct.
Yes.
See, you guys wouldn't have hit the home run. Nobody knows that person's name. I used to know it. I did a Bible study on him once. Anyways,
I think his name was Naga, not going to be around anymore.
all right, Chris. Well, what do you think? Is this a game that I made up, or are Christians really just that bad at making games?
Did you go to a Christian bookstore this weekend?
They don't exist
Like,
anymore.
you got there and
apparently,
was like,
right?
wow, these games are awful. What can I come up with? But it unfortunately it sounds way too true to not be. So I'm going to say it's true. It sounds equally like it's got to be true because it just doesn't make any sense. Like, oh, you get a first, you can make it a single because you got this Bible verse right. Like that's how those games work. And I'm ashamed to say it, but it's true. So I go with real.
I'm going to say false just because, a couple things. One, that's how I'm playing the game strategically. Two, no, it's just too cheesy. I know there's Bibleopoly and other things, but this just seems like I don't think it's real.
I will say I did want to go to like the Maurice's to a game store, a Christian bookstore, and just look through there and just start writing them down because they are just notoriously horrible, except for Deliverance from our friend Andrew Lowen. That game's going to be hot. But John, what about you?
I really didn't want to be the person that either gives you a point or takes a point away from you. Well, I don't mind taking a point away from you, but I didn't want to be the person that potentially gives you a point, Daniel. And man, it sounds so believable and stupid and bad. But gosh, yeah, I'm gonna say I believe it. We'll go with it. What is it? How bad did I do?
You guys really think something like that would exist? Because if you
Yes.
did, you're right. It does.
Yes.
And my coworker is the one that told me about it.
Oh, that's the
Oh,
tricky
so that's
one.
the
Okay.
one.
Yeah, she was like, hey, so there's this game. And she starts to explain it. I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And you're making it up. So I go to Board Game Geek and sure enough, Bible. And I showed her. I was like, is it this game? She's like, yes, I played that as a kid.
Wow.
My coworker's 24, mind you. So,
Bible baseball.
all right. Well, Andy, it's your turn to pick 1 through 3.
Let's go with 3 right in the middle.
All right. All right. This is a X-Men themed game. This is X-Men We Are Legion from 1996. It's from Rose Art, which, yes, that is a Crown company, like Crayola's competition. And it was designed by
Art
Rob
supplies.
Davio. This game came out in 1996, which is key because that is when Age of Apocalypse came out in the Marvel Universe. Age of Apocalypse, this is important to understand the rest of the game, is when Professor X's son, Legion, travels back in time to kill Magneto, but instead kills Professor X, which awakens Apocalypse and changes the entire universe. Well, the X-Men to resolve this, they need to figure out how to stop Legion. So this game is actually about that. And We Are Legion is a Clue type of game, like Clue the board game, or Tobago if you're John, where you play either Bishop, Cable, Cyclops, or Wolverine, and you're trying to figure out which of Legion's personalities was the responsible party for killing Professor X, because Legion has multiple personalities and every power is a different personality. So you do this by moving around the board. You're revealing facts about the personalities, and then you're also asking the other players what they discovered, and you're trying to deduce in Clue-like fashion which personality murdered Professor X. Andy, there's no gaming the system. It's all hinges on
no game in the
he's gonna
system,
go first.
so I have to make a choice here. I'm going to say that despite the fact that this is a well thought out game, and well, actually, because it's a well thought out game, I'm going to say it's false, because I know you to be the Marvel nerd that you are, and everything you just said, I'm sure makes perfect sense to anyone who knows Marvel as well as you do. It does not to me, because I don't know Marvel that well, but you did a very good job of selling this as a real game. But I don't think, based on the year that this actually existed, and I don't think, I think you just came up with an elaborate game description that maybe would work, but it is all fictitious and something you came up with.
Maybe. I will say this is essentially Clue. All right, John, what do you think?
It's not that it's Marvel, and that it's that it's a subset of Marvel that's X-Men, and that it's this specific about a certain event in X-Men lore that makes me think, no, this is not real, because this has got to be a mass market game that's going to make a lot of money, and people are going to look at that like me that are Marvel fans and go, okay, whatever.
1996,
I don't know what's going on in this game,
This
so
is
I ain't
all the
getting it.
rage.
So Wolverine was all the rage. I don't know that this kind of detailed X-Men stuff was all the rage amongst the public.
The
So
only
I'm going to
game that
say,
existed,
I'm going
in
to say
90
no, do not believe it.
the only game that existed in '96 was Magic the Gathering.
That's it. And Catan.
Well,
Fair. All right, Chris, what about you?
So yeah, I kind of agree with Andy. It's way too detailed. There's no way that like there's this much. Though I will say, if you found a game that was Marvel, you would go over the top and learn everything about it.
True.
So maybe that's true. However, it all comes down to the characters for me. It doesn't make it sense that a trash character like Cyclops will be with Wolverine, Bishop, and Cable. So it's not a real game. They would have another character in there that's actually cool. So.
Well, let me put it this way. When I looked at the 4 characters, I said it has to be these, but Chris is going to call BS on Cyclops. But it would be Cyclops if the game was real. Those would be the 4 characters in the game, because you have 2 time travelers and you have the 2 most important X-Men characters in existence. But yes, it is a game that I made up.
Yes.
But I will say Rose Art, I was going to throw you guys for a loop, because I wanted somebody to say Rose Art would not have made a board game, but they did. They made Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring. And it is...
I believe it.
The game is so bad that you literally can't play it. There's like things
for real?
that says like flip the black tile over to end the game. And there is no black tile. Like there's literally just missing elements to this game. And there was going to be 3 of them. But now you can find them in dollar stores everywhere.
Maybe it's
when
like
you said
that.
Rose Art, I was like the art supply company. Like what the heck?
Yeah,
That's weird.
legitimately.
Maybe it's supposed to be like that test that Captain Kirk went through, where it's supposed to be a no-win situation, and you have to game the
Kobayashi
system
Maru.
somehow. Yes,
you go.
thank you. Yeah, I couldn't think of the name of it. You have to figure out a way to make it win, Daniel. That's all.
All right, so I have 2 more. John, do you want number 2 or number 4?
I got to go number 2.
Okay, we'll wait.
Well done.
It's fitting that I wish Fart was number 2. Oh, I
There you go. That would have been
a
great.
missed opportunity. All right. So number 2 is a game from Blue Orange Games in 2009 called Lice Shower. And Lice Shower, it is meant to be played with the lights turned off or with a blindfold. And you are actually touching the board. It's texturized. And then so there's different textures, and then you reach into the bag, and inside the bag there are pieces of those matching textures, and you're supposed to put those textures on the matching textures so all touch. Now the catch is twofold. You have multiple of the same texture in your bag, but you can never put your texture on top of your previous texture. So like if I had put it on the rough one, I can't put it on the rough again. Somebody else has to. So that means you have to feel how many are in there, and you have to remember rough, I'm number 1, so that when you count them, you're like, oh, there's 3 there now. So there's the third one. And then if you can't put that one there because your piece is already there, you can put it in front of somebody, and then that person decides which one to wash away before the lights turn on. So that's like washing away the lights. I just love your reactions at this point, especially Andy. So John, do you think this is real or is this made up?
If you made this up, wow, because this sounds so horrible. And when you said it was going to be a lice thing, I thought it was going to be people are putting things on you or something like that. I don't see how you would make up a better game than this. This sounds terrible. So I've got to say it sounds so bad that you would not want to put your name on it and say invented by Daniel Connors. I made this one up. No, I don't think so. I don't believe it. I mean, I'm sorry. I believe it. I don't believe it. You made it. I believe it's a game because you wouldn't have made that up.
So you believe it is a game?
I believe it. Yes, I'm a believer.
For you. Okay.
Yes.
All right, Chris. What about you?
I'm gonna say it's not and believe in blue orange games. That's my whole justification. I gotta believe that they wouldn't do this to us. So
all right. Andy?
I think I'm gonna say it's really a game.
All right. So we have 2 reals, 1 fake. Yeah. Well, I will say this one might be a little bit of a cheat because while this is not a real game, it is not a game that I made up. In 2011 or 2014, the Dice Tower did an April Fool's episode where they all picked one game to make up, and they made Board Game Geek profile pictures for it and everything. And Lice Shower is notoriously Z Garcia's made up game, and that was his description. So it is a fake game, but it was not one that I made up.
That's how you fooled us.
That's right.
Now, this is not from the mind of Daniel Connors.
That's right, because that mine would have been X-Men related. So, all right. So the last one, guys. I'm not going to let Chris pick. I'm just going to read it. Okay. This is the Board Game Geek game from 2009 from R&D Games, designed by Richard Breeze of Keyflower fame. This one is your one of 6 game companies from that time period. So like Eggerspiel, Queen, R&D itself. Your goal is to get customers, which are represented by dice, to buy your game, and then you take turns placing your games in the storefronts, which are actually being patronized by like the Power Grid guy and the circus performer brass guy with the hat up in the air. You know, Chris, the old man brass. And then you roll your dice and you decide where the dice go to shop. And you're trying to get kind of set collections or whatever. And there are over 100 more games represented on the board itself. It's just full of games, people from games and this game and that game. It is a love letter to games. So, Chris, is this real or is this BS?
I think it's real, and I'll leave any additional comments for here in a
moment. All right. Andy?
I'm going to say it's real too.
Okay.
Oh, man. Now if it's real, he's already won. He's already got the point. I don't see how this is real. I'm sorry, I don't see how, and that none of us would have seen it. That's ridiculous. No, that there's all these board games that you're, it basically be like that. What's the Marvel game with the comic books?
Be more specific than that.
The comic books that you got, set collection, comic collectors or whatever. Yeah, that's what it would be. It'd be like comic collectors, except about board games. And somebody would have this. This sounds too cool to have all that stuff, and nobody would have seen it. So no, I'm going to say I do not believe it.
Okay, Daniel, before you say anything.
Yeah, go ahead.
Before you even say anything, I absolutely know this is a real game.
Oh,
the
really?
only possibility here is that Daniel was like messing with the details and making it not real or something, because I absolutely know this is a real game. I remember when it came out and like it was a big deal on BGG about it. I've actually wanted to own a copy or at least play the game just because I'm intrigued by it for a very long time. So that's why I kept it myself, because I was like 1,000% know this is a real game.
Yes. So I thought you might know, Chris. So I'm glad you didn't elaborate on it. But yes, it is a real game. It was an Essen release. They limited run, of course. You can buy it on their website for a little bit of time. But yeah, it's I did look it up. It's only like $20 now, so you can still buy it on eBay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh, okay.
We need to get a copy of it. I
might have to get that.
We can talk about it for the show.
Yeah. Exactly.
There you go. All right. Well, that's it. That's all I have, guys. So let me know. How many did you guys get right at home? Also, let me know if mine was better than John's.
No.
It was.
No.
It was.
Thank you for watching this clip from Around the Board. If you'd like to watch the full episode, please click on the link down below. Around the Board is essentially a game show featuring 4 board game enthusiasts that discuss board game topics and news in a competitive format. Whoever wins gets to talk about whatever he wants at the end of the show. So please join us, won't you, Around the Board.